So I want to get back to the college scholarship program. We've got a very special guest here today, one of our recipients. Hey, Anthony, where are you, Anthony? There you are. Hey, I want to introduce Anthony and let him talk about the impact that you guys have had on his life. It's very easy to make a donation. Hey, it's very easy to make a donation and not see the fruits of that donation. Here at UMPS we want to show you and let you listen to the impact that you guys have had on somebody's life. So I'd like to introduce Anthony, one of our college scholarship recipients and one of the people who dropped in the program.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Thank you so much. I hope that
I heard how competitive you guys can get. How's everyone doing tonight? Yeah, so it's been a pleasure to be here. I will be honest, watching you guys golf, I could see that you guys all have sports background, how competitive you guys can get. I will tell you, I'm going to train for a few years, I'll be back, and I will be competing. Originally I wrote my speech and it was word for word, and then I went down to bullet points, and then eventually I was like, after meeting everyone, this is why I like baseball, because basketball wasn't for the vertically challenged. Yeah, and then I went down to, I just want to speak from the heart. I want to give it to everyone raw, my story, the impact, and what this scholarship has meant for me. I will say I was nervous. I went the whole two, and what they call breakfast helps me sort of warm up. So I guess I'll just start from the beginning. At the age of 5, my father was shot and killed, and this threw my family through a whirlwind, particularly my mom. Yeah, this was raw for my family, and my mom eventually resorted to drugs, alcohol. I have 4 other siblings, 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and being a single mom was tough. And especially not ever getting justice for him and finding who killed him. And we still don't know to this day. It was particularly extremely hard on my mother. And so this was at the age of 5. And then throughout the next 6-7 years, it was a journey. Electricity was not always a basic need that was being met. Food, warm water, you kind of name it. And this obviously was extremely tough on my mother, on the family, but it forced me to grow up extremely quickly. And throughout this time, and just kind of preface, my major and why I got into business. At the age of 8 or so, I sold all my toys. Where most kids were excited to play with, Legos and toys. I sold them all, and then started a lemonade stand. Used that money to get a lawnmower, and then would go out and make $30 when we didn't have food, buy pizza, and help my family, put a little bit of food on the table. And this was exciting for me. Eventually, my mom was seen unfit to take care of me. This was around the age of 12. From there, I had to move in with my aunt and uncle. My mom was still alive at the time, and they took me in, and I'm not going to get into too much detail there, but that's exactly what they did. They took me in. And taking you in doesn't always mean that they're your new parents. So I'll leave it at that. I don't want to take too much in there because I don't think it's all that important. But at the age of 16, I found out that my mom was terminally ill and she had cancer. She had a large growth in the side of her neck, and she was going to have much more time to live. And then the summer of my junior year, you know, she didn't have a lot of money. There wasn't anyone to kind of pay for the hospital care that she needed. So she had to stay in her apartment, and I was the only person that was available to really go and take care of her. So I spent the summer there taking care of her, making sure she took her medicine, cooking for her, and just spending time with her. Shortly after that, she passed away, which to this day is probably the hardest day of my life. I remember it vividly. I was holding her hand, my brother was holding her hand, and it was time to go. And it was a sad moment, but I know that, you know, she is up there in heaven, and it's somewhere in the good Lord's plan that, you know, she passed away, because she, I'm sure she's up there either, you know, arguing with my dad, or maybe they're playing cards, or whatever it might be. So I take comfort in that. And then I started thinking about, well, what's next for me? So one of the things that I promised my mom, and it's an ambitious promise, was that one day I was going to get a yacht. I was going to be successful enough to get a yacht, and I was going to name it Joan Jett. That's one of the questions I asked her when she was on her way out. Her name was Joan, and she said, name it Joan Jett. So I knew that, you know, at the minimum, I would need a college education to be able to get there. And so I started thinking, well, you know, what's next for me? And I thought college, right? And when looking at it, you know, when you have $300 in your bank account, you're working 2 jobs, and you're just trying to figure out how to pay your cell phone bill, college can be a little bit intimidating. Then I heard of UMPS charities, and I used to play baseball up until I had to quit to be able to work my 2 jobs. I was a pitcher, by the way. Just to kind of preface this, everyone always asks me if I'm a little bit more lenient on the umps now that I've met you all. And one thing I always say is that I no longer yell at you, I yell at the TV when someone's painting a corner and, you know, the call doesn't go the way I like it. Yeah, I found the scholarship, and it was about overcoming obstacles. And I thought, you know, maybe it's time to tell my story. And this is why this is such a special event for me, being out here, because it comes full circle. That was the first time I ever told my story, what I had been through, the obstacles I had overcome, and what I've endured. I've always kept a secret up until that point, just because I didn't like feeling vulnerable when doing it. And that was the first time I've ever spoken about my story, put it on paper, and I decided, you know, if there's a time to do it, it's now. So I applied to the scholarship, not thinking that, you know, I would get it. I applied to other little scholarships, but obviously UMPS was the one that, you know, I was really hoping for. And I still remember the day that I got that scholarship. It was, I was in a landscaping truck, actually, and it was one of my jobs. I had a landscaping business in addition to serving. And I remember the call, because I don't ever answer calls I don't know. It just, you know, I don't feel like answering the phone. It's probably a telemarketer. Someone told me I owe money, right? But God works in mysterious ways. And I decided to answer it. And I'm in the work truck, and I answer it, and then I hear that it's UMPS charity. So I step out of the work truck, and I hear that I got the scholarship. And one, it was unbelievable. I wasn't sure it was real. But there's pivotal moments in your life that you look back on, and you're like, this was a moment that changed the trajectory of my life. And that's a moment that I can think back on today and remember that, yes, if it wasn't for that moment, I would not be here. I wouldn't be a college graduate, and I don't know what I'd be doing. Because it's not just the financial contribution that made the impact. Just to kind of give you some context, I had no idea how I was going to pay for college. They were going to base my loans off my aunt and uncle's income, who wanted to give me the financial information to even get that. And so when I was looking at college, I essentially had to move across the state, which I did eventually, but I had to move across the state not knowing how I was going to pay for it, not knowing, you know, how I was going to be able to afford food, pay bills, pay rent. But at that moment, I realized, okay, I at least have something. I at least have something, and let's make this leap of faith. If it wasn't for that moment, I would not be here. I would not be a college graduate. That's the truth of the matter. That gave me the courage to move across state, not knowing what was going to happen in my future, and sure enough, halfway through my first semester of college, I figured out a way to essentially prove the fact that I was independent, and that I could get loans based on that. And so throughout college, it wasn't an easy ride. I'll be honest with you, it was tough on me. I was oftentimes working in a bar from 8, 9 p.m. till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, going to classes. And something that really stuck with me was the support that the UMPS scholarship gave me. There were often times where I didn't respond to like 3 of Jen's texts, and because I was so exhausted with working, I was getting 4 hours of sleep trying to do school, and I look at it when I'm at work, but by the time I kind of got home, I'm falling asleep in the shower. And she would always text me something like, hey, just want to make sure you're breathing. And at that moment, I realized, I was like, okay, I gotta get back to her. I gotta make sure that she remembers. And something that may not really be impactful for the average college student, but meant a lot to me was someone's reaching out, someone's thinking about me, and someone cares about me. While that may be, normal for some, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, that wasn't something that I oftentimes received from my adoptive parents or really a lot of other people in my family. I never really got checked up on. And that was something that UMPS Care, did for me, that it meant a lot, even if it didn't necessarily translate all the time, it meant a lot. I don't know where I'd be at if it wasn't for the people in this room. And I want to say thank you, not only to obviously Jen and everyone that works for UMPS Care, the umpires, you guys are amazing. Like, getting to meet you guys today was surreal. The donors, everyone, you guys have created a well-oiled machine that, is changing the trajectory of young folks' lives. And I know sometimes it's hard to really realize the impact that it makes, because whether that's a donation, a raffle, supporting behind the scenes, whatever it might be. But I'm living proof that this makes a difference. I would not have made that leap of faith if it wasn't for this charity. I can tell you that right now. I wouldn't have moved 2 hours across the state and without knowing how I was going to put food on the table, how I was going to pay for college. This gave me that motivation. That support that you guys give in addition to the charity shows me that it's not just financial contribution, but it's a family. And for people in my shoes, that's vital. So I want to thank everyone here tonight. I hope that you guys realize the impact that you guys are all making, and I couldn't say it enough from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.